All right. So we're here with look, we just thought we would pop in a little few minutes early, give everybody a chance to sign on in and come visit. So of course, our girl Lizzy, today you get to have right now Adriana and myself. Like I said, we're the link ladies. You never know who you're gonna get and whatever night it's gonna be a great conversation anyway. So how are you, Adriana?
I'm good. I'm good. I was thinking about, checking in for the week, what's been going on. And I gotta say, interestingly enough, it's been, for a few weeks, it's been pretty rough. I think you guys know that my dad is very sick in Colombia, but I'm going this weekend. So maybe next week I'll be joined from there, which is fabulous because the idea that I can still keep doing the show and just keep coming, it's fantastic. So I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited that I'm gonna get to go and keep my mama some company and just help around, and that's all I want. And it was a gift from somebody that did it with a lot of love because they saw how much I needed it. Okay.
Hello, everybody. How are you all?
You're muted.
This is great. Thank you. This is great news. Adriana is going to be going home to visit, going to Colombia to visit her dad. So she may be coming live from Colombia. Okay, so you gotta find out where to zoom in and show us a bunch of sites. You gotta give us tell us what's going on. All the good stuff. Make us feel like we're there.
I heard the exciting news, although, for the occasion, but it's exciting to be
Yeah, no, but I am really
there.
excited, and I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking how, because of perspective, which is something I've been working so much through the last year. The situation is, of course, objectively very difficult, but I feel so excited and so full of love. And I know that even within all the things that can happen, there's gonna be love and fun, and I'm very excited about that because part of the process is to help my mom relax a little. She's really, really overwhelmed. So to help her, I just have to keep her company, and we have a somebody who help with my dad for a few hours a day too. So I can take her to a movie. We can go have a coffee. We can go out for lunch, and that's what she needs. She doesn't need me to be there telling her, oh yeah, this is awful. How awful is the situation? It's terrible. No, we need to do the opposite. We need to do the refresh, recharge, feel better, so you can keep handling this situation that is going on. So I'm really, really excited, and I really hope that positive attitude is just going to continue there and it's going to be contagious. So I'm really excited thinking about that.
I think
Yes,
I'm
yes.
sure your family's gonna be so glad to see you. When's the last time you've seen them? When's the last time you've been home?
Well, I was there almost all of last year, because I crossed the border right when the pandemic hit, and the next day, thank God, I was able to be there. They closed the borders, and I had to stay for
Mm.
9 months.
Wow.
So, which ended up being incredibly helpful for everyone, and I was luckily able to work from long
Mm.
distance. So it worked very well. And that was one of the things that made me realize how much you can really manifest whatever you need, because this was an incredibly hard situation. And out of it, I was able to handle it in a priceless way. It was just really well. Everything just kept working, 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 so I could adapt to it. So and right now I'm so grateful and excited because I was thinking I want to go, but it's expensive, it takes time, and so on. And because the situation is so difficult, I keep thinking, no matter what I do, if I choose to go now, I will still have to go back if things take a turn for the worse, right? So I was having difficulty making the decision, and somebody that loves me a lot saw me how I was, and they said, you know what, I'll gift it to you. Just go, so you don't have to think about it. And that was such an incredible gift. So I am so incredibly grateful. And, and it just is proof of how when you want something and you think, I really need this and I want it, and don't get lost on the details, it will just come to you because it just came for me. So I'm really, really excited about that.
I'm happy for you.
I'm happy for you. It's I always say to people, we always have what we need. It may not come through us, but if we're open to receive it and just put it out there. This is what I need. This is what I desire to have. And
Mhm.
however you choose to bring it into my world, I receive it and accept it.
Yes. Yes,
So
that is something
awesome.
that I've been thinking a lot during this week. I actually I have it on, it's my screen on my phone. Um, well, it's my screen. It says what and why are important, how is not. Because when you start thinking, how am I going to do it? You freak out. You get lost in the details, and then you just stay on that little circle. But when you think, this is what I want, for example, in this case, I want to go because I want to be with my mother and my father and keep them company. That's my why. And I had no idea how it was going to happen, and it just did. So I'm just, I'm seeing that this is true, that's the way you should see things. And I'm very excited to see that.
Yes, awesome.
Awesome. Well, how are you, ladies? So tell me. So, and look, you can't. That's look. It's. I know it's the reason you're going. It's it's heart touches your heart, right? But at the same time, you get to go back and see your family, and you wanted to go back to look at the blessing in it, right?
And just bring love and joy even in the middle of whatever. It's one of the things that I'm thinking is like, this is our chance to be together. So it doesn't matter.
That is huge. That is huge. We have our neighbors next door. We're officially the old couple that we're saying like the young couple next door, right? So my husband was like, so Elizabeth and Adam's, our parents are coming up and she wants us to meet her parents. I said, cool beans, we're coming over. So they're like, bring some wine, come over for some drinks and some things. Okay, guys, so let's bring up some bottled wine. We go over. So I'm sure they came and was like, oh, right. And we had the best time. In my mind, I'm like, okay, we'll go for maybe an hour. We don't want to, we were there at 7. We left. And with all jokes, they're talking about, do you need us to take your keys? We cracking up from next door. I said, let me stumble back across here on my grass, laughing and joking. 11 o'clock. I was like, I got to be in the bed. At one point, I leaned over to Adam, and we were outside on their deck, looking at our deck. And I said, Adam, do you think it's like 10 o'clock? And I'm like, it's 10 o'clock. Do you think, we need to call it a night, my parents? And he's like, what? Because they're old. I was like, Adam, no, because it's 10 o'clock and they may want to go to bed. He was like, hey, it was hilarious. I was like, but I had the best conversation with Mr. and Mrs. Stein. That's their name, right? Judge. He said he was state senator a long time ago in Arizona, but we had the best courageous conversations. We went from like, it was really good. But in that, he was like, you are right. I was like, he was like, you're just very interesting. I was like, I'm just crazy. I said, I'm just crazy, and I can talk to a rock, and we can talk about anything. And most often, I think I surprise people with the topics that I can talk about for hours, right? So, I don't know if it's this. I don't know, like what it is, but I see all that to say is that she was so happy to see her dad and her mom, and when she introduced them, as only a daughter can, she said, Stephanie and Kirk, this is my mommy and this is my daddy. And I received it. I'm getting goosebumps just, and for my husband and I, we received that, right? Because we don't have either one of our parents. So when somebody is able to celebrate and to be with their parents, we like to snap, and a clap, enjoy every minute of it because tomorrow is not promised.
Yes.
You know what? You say they were Mr. and Mrs. Stein, and I'm like, that's my parents. My maiden name was
way.
Stein. Yeah. And so You just reminded me of my mom sometimes gets these like, I want to take like a long weekend. Let's go to San Diego or let's drive to the mountains or whatever. And so there's 5 of us, right? My husband and I and my daughter, and we'll sit in the back seat, my mom and dad in the front seat, and we'll drive all together. And I'm sure my husband is like, what crazy ass family did I inherit, right? But we went to San Diego one time, and there was this, believe it or not, across the street, we were obsessed, a grilled cheese shop. Like, these people specialized in grilled cheeses, and I think we had one of everything they made. So it was like 14 different sandwiches, and then they had like 5 dessert sandwiches, like grilled cheesecake and like a s'mores one. It was ridiculous. We were there every night 2 times. So I went with my dad one night to pick up the sandwiches for the family. We were going to bring them back and just like share a bunch of them to try. And we were just doing, the banter that you do with your parents if you're close. And, and the guy behind the counter is like, how do you guys know each other? I'm like, oh, that's my dad. And he said, I don't have my dad anymore. And I really appreciate the relationship that you guys have. It's been fun just to be around it, even for a few minutes. And so it is really special that your neighbor invited you over, and it's neat to be around families. And I know for me, like, one of the blessings of the pandemic was that it was really in our bubble. It was me, my parents, and one other family. And she fought tooth and nail to get her parents to be able to get here from Spain. And we all got to spend time together multiple times because we were the only people we were seeing for the holidays. And so we did Halloween together. We did Thanksgiving together. We did Christmas together, not Christmas Day or anything, but like that was our only holiday party of the season, was getting to be with her family and her with mine. And like, I don't care what happens the rest of my life, she will remain one of my closest friends because of what we went through that year and how close our whole families got. So I came in late, but Adriana, I'm always thrilled when I hear someone is getting to spend time with family when it matters to them. So especially since you just let go of the how and you're just accepting that you're getting there and you're going to get this magic time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Those experiences are precious because recently, just to add to the conversation of just sometimes you don't realize how much you miss it. Like, you miss it, but when you get that opportunity to share in, the experience, you're like, I needed that. A couple weeks ago, one of my friends from middle school, her mom, she was at her mom's house, and her mom was like, hey, you haven't come by to see me in a while. I'm like, well, we've been in a pandemic. And so it's been over a year that I've seen her, a year and a half, let's say that, starting there. And then all the other months. So I said, you know what? You're saying to me that I have not come by to visit you. I am coming now to see you. And so I showed up at her house. She made us drinks. We went to go get food. And when I sat there on the couch, I told her daughter, which is a really dear friend of mine, I said, I needed this, because my mom and I still have my mom, but we don't speak. And so to have that time to have that mom's input into the things that I was challenged with and what I was going through, it gave me what I needed and what I was missing and what I was desiring. And I was like, I told my friend, I'm like, I'm so grateful for your mom because she gave me that thing that I needed from a mom tonight. And I appreciate her. So yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, I mean, talk about not worrying about the hows, right? Like, some families get along great, and other families, like, you're just better off if you separate yourself, and you can't beat yourself up for that. So I heard this term a long time ago that I love, which is, create your family of choice. Who's the mom that you're going to go to if you're not close to your mom? And I love that. And so even though I am close to my family, I have had other relationships that feel like that when someone feels like they're a good fit or that they're, and actually, when I think of it, one of the mentors that I have, and I love that she did this, she created a place, it's a website called Your Holiday Mom. And people get on and write letters, like moms that say, dear child, you're welcome at my, home this holiday season. And it was meant for people who are LGBTQIA plus, whose families don't accept them. And so she, shockingly gets tons of input still. And this is an old website. She, I don't think did it last year, but there's 7 years worth of letters on there. And they always we talk about them during the holidays. And there's been tons of times that people have written to her and said, I was really thinking about killing myself. And I found this website. And the fact that there are people who would accept me means the world.
I do have no, you're reminding me exactly of that, because and what you give, you don't know how giving just a little bit can mean a lot.
Mhm.
So I have a daughter who's like that, to someone. I'm that mom. So this girl was my son's best friend in high school,
Mhm.
and she's a trans girl. And her family, they were not that it's not that they were not accepting, but her mom, her biological mom, the family lives as far away as possible, because the poor woman really is clinically insane. So
Mhm.
she beat up the children in a horrible way until somebody realized, this person cannot be around people or around children. And obviously the dad, somebody that happens, unfortunately, with psychiatric patients. People pair up with somebody who can tolerate that. It's because they are completely indifferent.
Mm.
So this girl was completely familess. She did not have a family. She was, and so and the thing is, she considers me her mom, and she's gonna get married in October. And I'm so happy for her. She found somebody that works really well for her, and I'm supposed to walk her down the aisle.
Oh.
And it's such an exciting, and like, yeah, I'm having the goosebumps and the tears, because it's such a big thing. And the thing is, from my point of view, I give her almost nothing, because it's not my son. I call him, I talked, or he calls me. We talk every single day. I talk every single day with my mom and stuff like that. And I don't have that relationship with her. But every time we get in touch, it's sweet, and it's loving, and it's caring, and is, I love you no matter what. So that is what she gets. And it took me a while to accept, because I kept feeling guilty. Why am I not giving more to this person? But it was also not something that was naturally coming out of me to give more, because I'm very committed to my blood family. So it was too much for me to create that kind of commitment to another person. And yet, what I consider to be a very small, almost no commitment at all, for this other person was of huge value. So, it's so important, and you don't know how much difference you're making on one person's life until you see what they can become because of it.
Absolutely.
Today, so I have you guys know my story. And so, when, I'm talking to my clients, and I tell them, one of the things I tell them is that when folks say, I don't know what my passion is, I don't know what my purpose is, and all this good stuff, and or they don't know why, when you ask them, well, why do you choose to do what it is that you as an entrepreneur or whatever, right? And they're like, I don't know why. And I was like, well, the reality is, oftentimes we end up creating a business or creating something to help serve someone, basically to serve ourselves,
Mhm.
right? We're basically want to help people to get what we wish somebody would have given us, right? And
Mhm.
so, just one of my projects, it's that my passion. I call it the project because it takes some effort and got to get some people together, some collaborations. But it's my passion was, one, I was a teen mom, so I have a passion for teen moms. So in my old high school, they have a teen mom program I told you guys about,
Mhm.
and it's called the Teen Parenting Center. Literally, you get pregnant, you come to school. When you're the baby, you bring the baby. The baby goes they have a daycare center where the baby goes in the school. So your baby comes to school, with take the baby there, and you go to class, and you may come back, and if you need to breastfeed or feed the baby, whatever you need to do, but you come back, and you have to spend some time with the other moms and dads, because it's a parenting center. So if it's a dad in the school, he comes too, and they do a whole lot of other things and help them with. So your life, just because you're the baby, your life's not over, and you don't have to pause it. We're
Yeah.
going to help you to keep navigating. You have got a couple of little barriers, but we're going to help you navigate. So once I found out it was there, so then I was like, wait, okay, I contacted them, and I was like, okay, so how can I best support? How can I partner with you? And one of the things was, the daycare center only services the children to up until age 3. So some of the kids are aging out of the program, but they didn't have transportation or didn't really have a it was there. A partnership hadn't been formed, so it was automatic. They can get into like a Head Start program.
Mhm.
So immediately I connected them. So now the Head Start people, everybody connected them and all their resources. And so now we were trying to work with that. So fast forward, I was just talking to them today because they were like, we need, them for internships and to see people to have people like you to come in and talk to them about, hey, it's not over till it's over. You're not the only one. They need to see somebody that's is reasonably successful. Because oftentimes they think, well, this is it. And so do their parents. And so we were talking about that today, and she said, oh, I need to, I'm talking to the teacher. And she's like, oh, there's somebody here that wants to talk with you. So I was like, sure. When she turned the camera around, there was one, because I told you, I don't know if I told you guys, we started like a middle school program, like almost like a school resource officer, but except it was called student resource officer. And I was assigned as I was a corporal. So I was assigned as the supervisor over this new pilot program, but I was also assigned to the school. And I loved, you guys hear that? So I loved up on all these kids that everybody thought was so troubled and they just really hard on, but I love them. I used to always tell them, I see you. I see you. And I mean, I would not, no matter what they said about themselves, what anybody else said about them, I dismissed it. And I was like, so save the world. Well, this young lady was one of them, and she wanted me to see, and she's crying. I'm like, you're not gonna mess my makeup up. Now I'm crying. We on this Zoom, which we're on WebEx actually, and she is now in school to become a full-time teacher, but right now she's a paraeducator. She was back at this high school. She's actually the paraeducator at another high school, but she was there because she volunteers her time at that school with the teen parent center because she became a teen parent. But she was like, Miss Stephanie, you never gave up on me. I was like, and you never gave up on yourself. You just need somebody to believe in you this much. And she was, when I tell you, it was crazy. I was like, okay, wait a minute. I mean, my total voice, you know how you try not to cry and you get that thing, and it's like, yeah. And she started laughing because she said, I didn't, and she's, and she was originally from Guatemala. So she started laughing and she was like, Miss Stephanie, I don't want to mess your makeup up. I said, yes. Because I always say that. What mess up makeup? I was like, yes. I said, oh my God. But it was so powerful. She was like, I heard your voice. And I was like, oh my God, that is Miss Stephanie. And she said, I just almost lost it. But I say all that to say, you never know whose lives you're changing. When you think what you're doing is just what you do. But what you're doing may feel like, because it's easy to you because it's your purpose, right? It's your passion, it's your purpose. But in reality, it's extremely important to other people. So I say that to say, whatever it is that you do, you may think it's insignificant, but it's monumental. So keep doing it and don't stop it. Stop doing it even when you think it doesn't matter to anybody else. It matters to somebody. And if it doesn't matter, even if it didn't, it just what it matters to you because it's your purpose. So, but and when I tell you, I smiled for like the rest of I just was like, wow. Because they tried to count out, they couldn't count. They tried to count out the whole time I wasn't having any of it. Like, I don't care. I mean, just every time she's fighting, she's not, listen. With the real deal, look at why she's doing this. People they don't just come to school angry. Wouldn't you be angry if you had this, and this? Wouldn't you be angry if people are judging you because somehow you don't speak the language that they think you should? Wouldn't you be angry if every day, everything, someone's always stacked against you?
Well, and as you're talking, like the question I've been asking, like thinking about was, well, so what's my thing? Like, where have you talked about helping people the way you needed help at some point. And like, for me, what it comes down to is like, where were the moments in my life where I felt ashamed? And I think like, right. So teen parent, I mean, society's terrible about that. Like you make one mistake and now we want you to pay for it forever. And so whether or not it's something big like that, or it's something smaller, anytime that you felt ashamed, I think you can look in that arena and go, who might be feeling that kind of shame now that I can help pull them out of it? Because for me, I know being in the military, I was constantly told like, you're too fat and too slow. Like you don't run fast enough and you weigh too much. And so all my value, I felt like it didn't matter all the other good stuff that I did. All they could see was I weighed too much. And so eventually I got out because I just got tired of hearing it. And then I found a personal trainer who's like, oh yeah, we just got to teach you a little bit about nutrition and find a plan that works for you. And oh, maybe you're not a runner. Maybe cycling's your thing. And so it was amazing when I found someone. And you know what? This is why I hired this trainer. First person I talked to, I went, and in her little binder, right, she comes up with her little notebook and she opens it up and she's like, here's a picture of me when I weighed 250 pounds. Like when I tell you, I understand it's hard to lose weight. It's because, chocolate and Taco Bell were my co-pilots. So, and I literally, I was like, I just want to be able to eat Ben & Jerry's and not be fat. That's all I really want out of life. Like, can you help me? And so she wasn't trying to get me to where she wanted me to be. She wanted me to achieve the goals I wanted. So once I got a taste of what it felt like to be healthy, I didn't want the Ben & Jerry's as much. And then once I got a taste of what it felt like to be strong, I wondered how hard I could push myself. And so she's the one that trained me to do a half Ironman when everyone else told me I was crazy, even think about it. Because they're like, you're too fat and too slow. All they could see was who I was. They couldn't see who I could become. And I think that's what I hear in your voice, Stephanie, is you were looking at that girl as who she is now, and who she could become. Like you could see it all in her. And you just wanted to like hug her and make her feel better today so she could take that journey. I think everybody is capable of offering that kind of help.
And what you said there, Leslie, was just so key. Just being able to identify who people can become and not with where they are. Because so many people do that every day, all day. It's just stay focused on what they think is the now, but not what's possible. So many people, I mean, from parents to teachers to religious, people that we look up to every day, just focus on the now and not just, again, sometimes even using that innate intuition to identify who can you become.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so key. And when I think someone has that gift, and I think it is a gift, because everyone can't do that, right? You can't look at the possibilities and help people walk through. Everyone can't look at the possibilities and see and help someone walk through it to get there. It is a gift in my mind. It's a natural gift for certain people to have, that they are blessed with. And I think it's so important for those who do have that gift to use it and speak it, because those words and those words of affirmation can be so powerful to change someone's life, to help them go from stuck to being the next president, to being that top leader, to being the CEO, to being that entrepreneur. I think it is so powerful for the people who have that gift to use it, to not be afraid of it, to not be ashamed of it, because you can make a valuable difference in someone's life.
Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, I'm sitting here like, wow, did Leslie just say, I want y'all to know. So one of my coaches, and she was helping me out, and she was like, we were talking about what is it that you do, and I was telling her, she's like, you know what, Stephanie, she asked me again, well, what do you do? Like 3 times. She was like, she said, I know what you do. She said, I'm just not sure what you do, and what you say you do, like, is really what you. And I promise you,
I got something for you. So,
but let me tell you. I'm going to tell you now what I say that I do. You're going to be like, yep. I want you to say, Stephanie, either how you feel about this. So this is what I say now. So now I remove shame and guilt from women who've experienced domestic violence. Through my coaching and my books, I restore their self-esteem so that they no longer self-sabotage, but embrace the belief that abundance, success, and love are their birthrights.
Mm-hmm.
Now, doesn't that sound like what I really do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at an essence
And
level, not a deep, not the house, like what Adriana was saying earlier. That's why, and the what, it's like the powerful part, not the like, I teach you these skills. Like, no, man, I'm in it for something way bigger than the how.
I want to share something with you, Stephanie, because it's so funny because I think you and I will come up with the same strengths. So Marcus Buckingham has the standout. Have you all seen that new Marcus Buckingham self-assessment? So the self-assessment, I'm going to try to find it really quick. Marcus Buckingham. So it's called the gift of standout. So this he has this new standout strengths assessment that you can take, and it gives you your two top strengths, and it also allows you to it even gives you the ability to see how you use it in a corporate setting, how you use it in a personal setting, and there's another area as well, and it even gives you the words to say to people how how you show up with this strength. And so I'm curious to know what your strengths are based on that quiz. So if everybody can take it, and
Can you repeat I don't know the person, so can you
so
repeat the name?
his name is Marcus Buckingham.
Marcus Buckingham. Okay,
Yes,
that's good to remember.
So
and
wait a minute.
so it's called standout. So it's called standout strengths assessment.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, so it would be great for us to kind of talk about it, and I think Stephanie and I would line up on one of them because of what she just said, and I know that it comes natural for me to be that person to see the possibilities in someone. Like it comes natural for me to identify and to help people on to their next journey of who they really have the possibility to be.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would like to know.
So let me ask you this. So all of us are coaches, right? Do
Yeah.
you use because my assessment I use Gallup, right? So I have I have to do their like obviously when they're personal they can do their personal look at their personal strengths. Then I've one specifically for business. And when I look at it and I laugh because when I look at my own, it like nailed me. And first of all, you can't even like some people like you can take it. You might say, "Well, I'm gonna take it again." Well, you can take it again, but it's gonna tell you it's number two. It's still gonna tell you what number one was, right? But it is when you're taking it, it is timing you. So it's gonna make you go really quickly so you can get a real honest answer. Because the first thing that comes to your mind, that's what you really think. And so when I finished it, I mean, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take this assessment. It was so fast. They even said it was supposed to take more time than I took. I really was like trying to make sure it was really authentic. When it was done, and I want to show you this. I literally, when I work on my clients, I literally break out the Gallup, the Strength Clifton Strength Finders, the Discovery Card.
Yeah, I love this strength fighters.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, I love it. But because I found that many of my clients, like I was on a show the other day. I was talking, and the first thing I said was about leadership. How many of you have taken a assessment in the last 3 to 5 years? And most people were like, I took one in college. You know what I mean? Or I took one, whatever. You are not the same person that you were 3 to 5 years ago. You are certainly not the same person you were in college. And we go back any further, you're not the same person you were 16 or 21 or and all that, right? So why would you think that do you think you haven't grown? Like if you've grown even the slightest bit, you've changed something, you changed jobs, you changed your mind, you changed your hairstyle, you changed. You've also changed your leadership style, your strengths and your weaknesses. If you ever did an assessment, I would like to think most people have. I know I did the Cliff the Gallup in 2019. I did again in 2021,
Mm.
and my top 10 strengths her a little shifting, because some of the ones that were just below have moved up. Because see, is when you recognize what you say, okay. When I looked at the thing, I was like, okay, all the top 10, yep, that's correct. But the ones that were below, some of the ones I was like, I wanted to be stronger in those. Like, wait a minute, I want to be stronger in some of these. Some of these I would. So that means something I had to work on. So, but the person that I on my earned income job, the person I report to, we laugh because my top 10 are her bottom 10. It's hilarious. So I found out some of the things that were not weaknesses, but the things that were not my top 10 were her top 10. So I watched her. So I asked the question so that I could learn to be. I like what makes you do that, and why do you do this, and how do you do this, and vice versa. Like, she's like, I wish I could just go in the room. I could be somewhere like it could be very intimidating for most people, and they all of a sudden they'll say, "Oh, we need somebody to MC or whatever," and they're like, "Stephanie, just go there and tell them, stall or do something for a while, and I will be on that mic." Well, listen, good evening, and look, don't care. Like, I'm not worried about. I mean, I can have a little butterfly in my stomach, but look, I got to get on this mic. I got a job to do. It's not about me. It's about the job. She's like, that's not going to happen. She said, and here I am with a JD and an ED and all these letters behind my name, and I'm not doing that. She said, I would die 1,000 deaths. I cannot do that. So she was like, so never think that your strengths are somehow less than, because she said, I have a whole lot of schooling. I got a whole lot of education. I got this long, big title and make all this big money. She said, but it did said, you got to go up to MC. She said, I've been up there, heebie-weebie-jeebie. She said, you seen me. I cannot do it on the fly. I cannot do it.
And I think that's, I think that's very important. I just want to jump in. I apologize. I think what you just said, I don't want it to be minimized and just ran over. What you just said about owning your strengths and not being ashamed of them comparing to someone else is so key, because some of us wish that we could do something and we want to grow, but what we have and what we bring to the table can elevate a conversation, can make a difference. For someone, it's storming here in South Florida, so forgive my thunder going on in the background. So I really wanted to make that point for people to not minimize their strengths, because so many people sometimes wish they had the gift that we have. So yeah. So I apologize. You can continue.
No, but that's key. And so, have you all ever did an assessment, and what did it tell you about? And did you think? How did you feel about the assessment? Did you feel like it was spot on? So, Kay, I know you were like, "That's me."
It's me. And then when I sent it to my friend who actually invited me to take the quiz, she copied a portion of the results from the report, and she said, because this is your strength, she said, this is why I love you so much and I appreciate you, because this strength helps me in our friendship and in business. And then going back to, again, not minimizing and thinking, oh, I wish I had this strength opposed to someone else. It's our thing. And what we give through that strength empowers people, motivates people, get people into action, uplift them, whatever it is that thing does, it makes a difference. So when she said it to me, she was like, this is so true. And I love this about you. And I appreciate this about you. And this is so true of you.
So, and I was
take it.
I was literally trying to find the assessment because I'm telling you, if I even told you the top 10, y'all be like, girl, I can see it all over you. It was almost like,
duh.
Okay, so I wasn't gonna tell me anything about myself. But what I loved about the assessment, like most assessments, is that it told me what the top 10 was, but then it also told me how those things are important in business, how I can communicate better with it, like kind of like what you were saying. How does that affect my everyday life? Mm-hmm. And how I would be best used if I'm in a group, or if I'm on a committee, or if I'm in leadership. How will I show up? And remember, I am, you come in all, I know this, I've known this all my life. You come in all this flower, I'm a morning person. Well, people that are not morning people are like, oh God, all of that in the morning, can she bring that down like a whole lot of notches, and for people that need to process, they need to really get, and they need a whole lot of data, and they are indecisive. I'm going to drive them crazy because I'm like, let's just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it. And vice versa. But you need to know that because on teams, all of those voices need to be heard and all of those people need to work together well. So you got to really just kind of, it's times I really do have to tamper it down and be like, okay, so what do you think we should do? Like, okay, what do you think? Let's all process and just slow down because sometimes let's just go is not the answer. And then sometimes let's just go is the answer, right? So Leslie and Adriana, did you all ever, have you done an assessment ever or recently?
Yeah. Are you kidding me? I am like the queen. I got certified and my boss paid for me to get certified in the Myers-Briggs, the DISC, the strength deployment inventory. And people in my department, we had a certain budget for training. Every person got whatever, $5,000 for, training things. There were people that I'm not interested in training. I'm like, can I have their money too? And she said, yes. I'm like, dude, ask for what you want, man. So I have probably gotten 4 certifications of different kinds for these assessments. Every one of them taught me something about myself. Some of them I still use in my work a lot to this day. One of my favorites is the DISC assessment because it's a very simple communication tool. And I work with teams and communication is paramount to team success, right? So one of the versions of the DISC assessment that you can get shows your natural style and your adapted style. And so when I learned about it, when I got certified, they said your natural style is like you're plugged into the wall. So it's like your laptop is plugged into the wall. You have a power source. You could do it all day. You can adapt. You can operate in a different style, but it's like unplugging from the wall and now you're on battery power. You will run down. And if you don't find a way to recharge, you're going to bonk, right? It's not going to be good. So people would do I would do this with groups of 75, 80 people and they'd print out their reports and then someone would come to me and be like, what does this mean? And all I would look for was how close was their natural style to their adapted style. So if it was close, I'd say you're probably pretty happy in the kind of work that you're doing. You can look for opportunities that have similar skill sets, blah, blah, blah. If it was really different, like 30 points or more from their adapted style to what their natural style was, I'd say my guess is that the kind of work that you do stresses you out in some way. It feels like it's not utilizing your natural talents and you wish that and depending on what the split was, I'd kind of know what it was. You wish you could speak up more or you wish you could just be behind the scenes more and do more execute. People thought I was doing some voodoo witch magic. They're like, how did you know? Because the assessment told me, the results are right there. So I'm a big fan. If anyone is out there, there's free versions of a lot of these assessments online and they're a great starting point. So you don't have to invest $1 million to know what your style is on a big expensive assessment. Start with one that's calling to you, see what it offers. And I really want to highlight what Kay said about the strengths. And there's some people out there that are strengthen up your weaknesses. Look at your weaknesses and make them better. And there's other teachers that say why? Why waste time on your weaknesses when you have these amazing, gorgeous strengths that can really help people? Be aware of your weaknesses, partner with people who have some of those skills if you don't, but really work on your strengths. That's your greatest gift to the world. Take that to the top level and worry less about where you aren't good at things.
I have heard both, right? I remember I bought work on your weaknesses. I remember I used to say it.
Oh yeah.
I used to say it. And then I heard, listen, focus on the strengths. I want to say Les Brown told a story, about folks were saying that I want to do this. I want to do this and this. And I want to, all these different things. I want to make a lot of money so that I can do this and that. So he was like, listen, all those things that you need to make money that you want to do, or you can't do it because of this and that. How about you focus on what you know how to do well? Mm-hmm. Go from good to great, basically. And then you'll be so great at it that you can make money. And so those things you're worrying about, you can't do this because you got this to do. You can pay other people to do that.
Oh, 100%, man. The people I pay to do the stuff I'm not good at, my bookkeeper, the first time I had to pay an accountant, money to do my taxes, I cried. I'm like, how much? But what took her 4 hours to do took me 40 hours to do, and I got it wrong anyway. It was like a mess, and I was losing money. I didn't get So I'm
Just
like,
40, just 40. Shoot, I was gonna say
I
40
know.
days to me. It's not. It is.
So yeah,
And 40 nights.
like forget it, right? So the first time I got paid to speak, like do a keynote speech, and I made like, at the time I think it was 2,500 for 45 minutes. I'm like, why was I stressing out about a bookkeeper? Like, I just made that money times 5 in 45 minutes. Like, so I 100% agree with what Les Brown said. Like, get good at what you're good at. You'll find a marketplace for it because you'll be excited about it. It's really hard to sell what you're not excited about. So focus on what you are excited about, learn how to be with that, and then pay someone to do the stuff you don't want to do.
And talk about that. So you know what? I'm good at this. Like I was folks, I am good at a whole lot of things, but I am great at this. You follow what I'm saying? Look, so that, right, a whole lot of things good at. Look, I'm good at a whole lot of things, but I am great at public speaking and coaching people. Look, dismantling limited beliefs. I'm great at it. But I want to show you guys this. So I couldn't find my other one, but I found the one that I actually, which they call the BP10 Gallup one, right? This is one I use for my clients. I tell folks, use it for your clients because listen, whatever you charge, add $19 to it, and then that's what they pay, right? Or whatever. And I will tell you, when I laugh because when I read it, so it says that the kind of leader or business professional I am is I'm a rainmaker. I crack up. I'm making rain, baby. Which says you are boldly self-confident in your capacity to be successful, and you rarely miss a money-making opportunity. As a master promoter, you excel at sales and marketing with a clear and aggressive growth strategy. You measure success by the profitability of your venture. You have an optimistic perception of risks. You perceive potential threats positively, and you manage risk analytically. You are incredibly persuasive, and you know how to energize customers and employees with your vision of the future. I'm a forecaster all day long. And your ability to form authentic relationships with customers and employees helps you further your business goals. I was like, well, that's about right. But then they break it down like, okay, this is what you are, but this is why you work well with this, and this is how you approach when you work with this kind of person and that kind of person, because you got conductors and experts and blah blah blah. But if I read, I was like, yes. No, I was like, well, I want to be a conductor. Why can't I be an expert, right? But that's not. But when I look at what they do, I know why, because those are not the things that excite me. Those are not the things that are my passion. But how about when you know what you're good at and you can speak it?
And the confidence, like I said, confidence shows, which is important, which is one of the major key components when we're out there doing what we do, is having the confidence to stand in it and own it. So yeah, what was that assessment, Stephanie?
That's the Gallup. So in the Gallup they have it's called the business, the BP, the builder profile.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, so go back when you go in Gallup, and literally it is when you go on it. They even have a whole. Of course, they can take all your money, and you can literally, it's for you can go through the program, so you can teach other people to do it. But it's really for coaches. That's the whole right, because they, and it's so funny because when I wanted to do an assessment for myself, and I found this, and I did that one, and then I was like, you know what, this is great for my clients. So that I added that into what I offer all my clients, so I can know what it is, because I know what they're telling me they need. They're telling me their strengths are, but I need to have an assessment tool so I can find out for myself, and I will confirm what they said. And then I'll be dog off. I went in Clubhouse one day, and a guy who I was like, ooh, everything he was saying. Then he was like, and I use assessments. And then first thing you're gonna do is you're gonna do an assessment. I was like, so I'm on the right street here. He was like, seriously, you all tools, you got to look assessment tools. Not only do you need to get it so as the coach, but the client needs to know. They need to see it, feel it, touch it. And they took the test, and now they know where they are. And based on what they saw, then you can start asking those questions. Okay, based on what we have, based on all the things you see, where do you want to start first?
Now, Adriana, were you saying like you haven't taken assessments like this, or?
I have not. So I was just thinking, where things come from and where my experiences and things come from. So in Colombia, college works in a very different way. There is no such thing as being undeclared. That does not exist. Out of high school, you choose what you're going to do and you go for it specifically. Speaking of shame, there's the part where if you realize it's not for you or you don't like it, you have to drop and go tell your parents that that didn't work. So it's actually pretty hard. So there's no general education requirements, because the general education requirements will be specific for what you're doing. So when I started college, I started medical school instead of doing like here at pre-med and then medical school, it was med school for 7 years. And you're not doing absolutely anything else. You're not taking an English class. You're not taking a literature class. You're not taking absolutely anything except for, since it was in Spanish, we'll take medical English. It was the only thing that was kind of like along those, and there was a mandatory physical education for the very first semester, and that was it. So there's never this kind of testing, because you're never giving the chance to wonder what is it that you're going to do. You already have to have made the decision out of high school. So outside of an IQ test that they gave me in high school, I didn't do anything else. And
So
then, yeah.
No, go ahead. I'll let you finish. Go ahead. I apologize.
Oh, no, the only thing I've done is like an online Myers-Briggs, which was actually pretty interesting. I really liked the results of that. Yes.
Yeah, because
I was
for me
actually
in
just
high
looking at
school,
a screenshot that I took from that. I'm sorry?
no, I was saying for me in high school, they don't give these type of assessments. I don't know if Stephanie or Leslie, for me, I began to, as I advanced my professional career, is when I found different assessments, or if I was on a leadership team in an organization, like I was a part of HRC, so they did the DISC assessment for us, just to know our strengths as we're working to build, the South Florida, HRC organization here. Again, it was, those assessments came from either people presenting them to me, or if I was in a leadership role in an organization, that was how I had the opportunity to do these type of assessments.
Yeah, most of mine were too. My mom worked at a community college where they did some of this with their students. And so she and her boss would, I knew about the Myers-Briggs and the Enneagram in high school because of that. And it's really interesting because I had early assessments, and then I took the DISC assessment for the first time pretty soon after I got out of the Army. And when I took it, my style was very different than when I reassessed 5 or 6 years later. And I believe that's because in aviation, the field I was in, you really had to be detail focused. Like you had to know the airspace, like we file the flight plans, cross the T's, dot the I's. That was really important in there. Where what I do now, the details aren't as important as big picture and interacting with people and building personal relationships. So I almost did a complete 180 when I took the assessment and I was in an environment that was more suited to my style. So I think that's also why I was so stressed in the Army a lot of the time, was like, I just want to do the people stuff, like not the technical stuff. So I've had that recognition of being in an environment where you're like, man, I can't even imagine having to, although I guess I kind of did choose right out of high school to go into the military, but if I'd had to stay in that, like, I don't know, it's crazy to think what we could equip kids with, or what we could allow people to do as they're in their 20s trying to figure life out, that we don't. It's like, we have a lot of tools that we could be pretty helpful with.
Can you imagine if, okay, you said, I don't know, whatever grade when although the brain's not fully formulated when you're a juvenile to begin with, but if you started, you said you did an assessment, once they could clearly understand what they were reading, right? Or or you create something, an assessment, because you have one assessment, you do it in middle school, then you do it in, you do it in elementary, then you do it in middle, and then you do it in high school, just so they can see where, okay, you might be very strong in this, right? See if we can just kind of introduce things a little bit to see those things that are on your bottom 10. If we introduce and see if that would become the top 10. And then by the time you get to 11th grade, 12th grade, that like 11th grade even, all right, see what we are,
Mhm.
And then, okay, all right, bam, we see it. And then, like as Adriana said, all right, well, all right, based on all those assessments, right? You look, I mean, if you could with taking away all barriers, because there's always barriers with testing, but based on all the assessments over the period of time, it looks like you are better suited for this. And now we're gonna put all those eggs. We're gonna and you. What do you think about this? This based on this, these things look like it'll be your thing. Which one of these? This is where we're gonna put you all the eggs in best, and now you go up your astronaut because based on this, this is your thing, right? And then because matter of fact, my previous employer and my current one, they said the same thing. Why in the world? This is one of the worst things that most people do in business and in organizations is that they put people in positions that they think that they need to fill instead of putting people in the positions where there's their strength.
Yeah.
Because they will excel at it. If you absolutely hate talking to people, why in the world did they have you out front?
Right.
If you know that person will kick butt, if you put them in the back room by themselves in the forest cubicle and they ain't got to deal with nobody really on the phone, but you just give them the data and they would be kicking butt and loving it, why don't you let them just have all the data until their little hearts content?
I worked at a company one time that did some version of that. So I was in a sales role and they had two paths within sales. You could, as you grew, you could decide, I like sales. Like, I just want to sell things. Let me keep selling. Or you could say, I like sales, but I also want to manage people. So give me a team. And they were compensated differently because, you have less stress if you're not managing people. So you could bonus more. And over here you had a higher salary because we were demanding, so they really gave some thought to well, why are we going to take people out of the thing they love and say, hey, you're really good at sales, so we're going to put you over in managing somebody who sells. Give the person the choice. That might not be a good move for them. And I just remember there was a couple people who chose the sales only path that were ridiculously happy that was what they did. Just crazy happy.
And I think it too, sometimes people don't even recognize their own strengths. I think that's also the starting point, is that if people aren't exposed to these things and can find the answer sometimes, like when people say, what are my passions? It's how do we begin to open up the conversation and introduce these things to people at an earlier point? And, a great point that Stephanie said, and I'm going to challenge Stephanie for a second and ask her, if you go back to elementary school, middle school, high school, were you the public speaker? Were you the person on the announcements? Did you do those things?
You're mute.
We can't hear you.
No, listen, I'm telling you, this is the truth. I bet you if I had my teachers, they'd probably say, nah, she wasn't on the mic in the thing because she was in trouble. But the problem was I was doing talking. I was always out there talking. I was always in the front. That was the problem. I was the one that was always going home with the thing said she's talking too much in class. Look, so but I will tell you, and I was not as confident. But here's the deal. What if somebody noticed that, okay, she's comfortable talking in front of people? So maybe that's a gift and they nurtured it. You know what I mean? That's the thing that somebody to recognize. But now I understand teachers probably like, oh, and when I get off of here,
behavior. They see it as a behavior issue and not as a possibility.
Right. There's no self-control. The reality, and I'm going to tell you as a professor myself, that teaches in the classroom, we got to own it, teachers. Mm-hmm. Sometimes some of the problem is us. Some kids really the content is boring. Sometimes you're still trying to get the information out, and I didn't already process it. I'm already at the end. I'm at, oh my God, come on. Okay, can I just answer the question? I know the answer, right?
It's not just kids. Have you seen Zoom calls in corporations lately?
Oh my gosh, yes, I want them.
Yeah, instructors / presenters could be part of the problem why engagement is low.
It's like, look, no matter, I don't care who the person is, you have to be engaged. If they say it's going to be a 4-hour training, you're like, oh my gosh. I just told somebody today who's planning a town hall. I said, how long is the town hall going to be? She said 2 hours. I said, that's a long town hall. Most people from 20 minutes, you've already lost some folks. Just FYI. But and how many panelists are you going to have? I said hour and a half tops. And I told everyone that's going to talk, when you ask the question, they have 2 minutes to respond. Anything longer, people are like,
it's amazing how long 2 minutes are.
That's a long time.
When I started like doing I never thought about it until I started doing personal growth seminars and stuff like that. And when I started getting involved with management of it, and they told me, so when people talk, you ring the bell at 2 minutes. And I was like, 2 minutes? Turns out 2 minutes, you can tell your whole life story and got half of the people there snoring in 2 minutes. It's amazing. It's a lot of time. So yeah, absolutely agree with that.
So ladies, we covered a lot tonight and we are just there.
Hey, me and you must be the time watchers. I was going to say, okay, so our final thoughts. So I would love it if everybody could end with, so I've already told you all what I do, but I would love you to tell everybody what you do and a final thought. In your final thought, like, in line with what we've been talking about tonight.
Well, I would like to start by saying I'm about to reimagine what I do, and I actually will not be at any calls for the month of July. So let the people know that. Because see all these sticky notes? Those are that I'm rebuilding how to say what I do because I can feel it shifting. So it'll be something around facilitation, and it'll be helping people have conversations they want to have but don't know how. But I'm not exactly sure what that means yet. So I will come back and let you know in August.
So I will go. I am Kay Richardson, and I am a speaker, an author, and an educator. And where my sweet spot is in the conversation is helping people go from idea to launching their business and getting over the fear of how do I market, but I know that I'm damn good at what I do. How do I monetize it? But I know that I'm damn good at what I do. And so that's me. I'm at krichardson.co. And I do challenge the listeners to take an assessment or get an updated assessment. And so I did put the assessment in for the ladies. It's marcusbuckingham.com/gift of stand out. So that is where they can find that simple gift stand out, and it's free.
And I'm Adriana Medina, and I am also reinventing what is it that I do. I'm a scientist, writer, and educator, and I want to focus again on the education, but from a different point of view. I've been a college instructor for 20 years, and I've come to the conclusion that the problem is not the content, the problem is the delivery and the receiving, and that's what I'm working on right now.
You all heard here, so we're just sending our flowers, our prayers, all of those things with the founder here, Lizzy. Lizzy has no voice, so we're speaking for her. We send prayers out to Charmaine, who's her heart is healing from her husband passing. We send prayers and heartfelt pray and for healing and for the heart, also for Sabrina, because her nephew was killed today, so she's not here. So listen, these are real women that deal with real issues, and this is another reason why we all must link together and be together and support one another, because in the real world, real people need real friends and real people to link up with them and support them. So bye-bye. Until next week, we'll see y'all at look. And hold like tight, hold tight. Link. Bye, everybody.